30 seconds ago, and we're back for the second race of the Zwift Insider Tiny Race series. On this one, I was a little tired, but I had enough time. I think we ended up with about 5 minutes to the next race. We really did really good on that race, even though the hill killed me on the end. And I even see it, if you see the quotes on the side, I'm even talking about how anything over 7%, it killed me at the end of a race. But hey, we still had a great race. Don't get me wrong. We got 2, 1, and we're off. Now this one, if you know, Tiny Tandem told me, hey, he asked me to stay with the pack, which I said okay. And like I said, I was riding with him, but that hill is still devastating. I hate to keep harping on the hills, but for me, the hills are still a spot of like, oh my God, when do I hit it? Now on this one, what I have been trying to learn to do is, when do I sprint? That's the thing about it. When do I sprint? And so I'm trying to learn when to sprint. Now I'm starting to realize, like I say, I think on this one, I did it when it hit 2/10 of a mile left, just before it started counting the numbers down. But if I have my way, if I can stay with the pack, and if somebody's trying to sprint, if I can stay with them up to 750 feet, right at 700, 800 feet, in that area, between that 700 to the end of the race, I think I can make hit, if I do it just right, and if it's flat, I could put out 1,300 watts. I'm pretty sure I can hit 1,300 watts on this thing. Especially on a flat. If it's a decline, it's a different story, but on a flat, straight out sprint for 700 and some feet, even 1,000, right at, if I can catch it right at 1,000 feet, I can sprint that thing clean out and probably tap by the end to the line, tapping 1,300 watts. So my goal on this one was just to ride along with the group, stay with everybody. I lowered my pedals. I'm about 85, I'm about 300, 400 watts, and they jump back and forth. But as I'm trying to stay with everyone. So my plan on this one was, my legs were a little tired because I tried to power through the beginning of that hill, realized it was going to really be a really power drain hill, so I chose to slow down just a little bit to save myself for the next race, especially with me being at the end of that race. So with this one, I'm coming up on the pack and I'm staying with the pack. I'm determined to stay with them. These are low rolling hills. These are none that's gonna stress me out. Only reason I increase my pedals, I only increase my pedals when I see the number increase. So if the number, we riding at 0 and the number increased to 2 or 3, you'll see my power come up a little bit, and that's just so I can stay in the pack. Because even with those little hills, little climbs, they're not none to most folks, but for me, you feel them a little bit more. So I incline, I kind of push a little harder so I just get over the little hump. It's nothing devastating for me, but when I get to the other side, I kind of back off the pedals. Sometimes if you see me go down a steep enough hill, I would actually take my feet off the pedal. You see the wattage go down to 0 because I'm not even pedaling. And you can see the wattage now kind of lowering. I'm not trying to leave them, I'm just trying to race now. And what I do is I bring my pedals down to about 70. I think it's 65, 70. I bring my wattage down. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to let the pack catch back up to me, first of all. I'm trying to stop people from just riding and drafting on me just the whole time. I don't mind being in the lead sometimes, but Tandem likes to get out, and I think he likes to get out and push the pack. So I follow him, and if you notice, I'm enjoying him. I'm gonna actually message him eventually, but I enjoy following him in his pack as he rides the pack. He's the NASCAR pace car for me. And so he gives me a pace to stay at and what to follow. I've been doing this a lot now, and even then, sometimes I get in front of him because I know that being in the being the lead pack guy puts a little bit of stress on you. So I try to get in front to help out, which I was suggested in a comment that we could alterate the lead of a race so that it takes all the stress off one person. And I understand what they mean by that now. So I try to not only lead, but I'm trying to also follow. And when I'm leading, it's usually downhill because it's the easiest spot for me to lead. I don't really have to do that much. If you notice, I'm running at 70 pedals per minute. Wattage is about 300. I'm not really I know they jumping in front of me, but I'm not trying to leave them. It's just that it's a downhills or something I don't have to stress on. I take a rest going downhill. And so once they start pedaling up and moving a little faster, I'll hit the pedals a little bit, but not much because I don't have to. All I'm trying to do is get to the level ground and just stay there. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, that when we're racing on a sprint, on these short sprints like this, if we're getting to the end and like there's a quarter mile left in the race, if I see somebody come past me with a little bit more power than normal, it kind of makes me take off. Because I don't want to get too far behind them. I know I have enough mass power to catch up to people, but if I let you get too far ahead of me, it's hard for me to make up that distance in the shorter distance that we have left in. Even though I'm putting out a lot of power and it's a flat, it's still really hard because you got to remember the guys in front of me are way lighter than me, so they don't have to put out as much massive numbers as I do to win a race in a sprint, all-out sprint at the end of the race. But we're coming around at 2.4 miles left in this race. And I'm feeling good. I'm in the pack. I'm learning to ride the pack. Yeah, every once in a while I get in front. It's not on purpose just to lead them. It's just, I'm just trying to learn. I'm learning how to race. And if you're anybody out here who's new to Zwift, the biggest thing you're gonna have to learn is learn how to race. And the thing for me is, since I did not race until I got to level 20, as you can see I'm level 21, until I reached level 20, I've done right now roughly in a month and a half, I've done 40, I think 39, 40 races now. And what I'm learning is how to race. And it's fun. I could have got on this race and just mass monster. This was a low flat race. I probably could have massed this thing and just been exhausted at the end of the race, but I'm not exhausted now. And I'm starting to learn that it's not all about just getting out here and trying to cream everybody. You want to get out here and race, and the competition and the camaraderie that Zwift gives you a chance to have is special. I did a social ride with the Suns yesterday, and MK, I don't want to mess her name up, but she was leading it with the beacon, and that was my first actual beacon race where they had a geo fence around it, so they try to keep you inside the group, which forced me to stay with the pack. It was really a nice race. You get to type and speak to everybody who's around you, get comments on races, and I felt good in that social race. Like I said, I'm doing a lot more social rides, 20-mile social rides, just to, you know, I think I do some between 1.6 to 2.0 or 2. I think yesterday was 1.9 to 2.3 or something like that, and that was a very nice social ride. So these social rides are helping me learn to stay in a pack. And you notice I'm in the pack. I'm not trying to leave nobody. I'm not trying to mass monster this thing and just take off. The pack is what I'm gonna have to learn how to race. I've watched all these guys race on YouTube. Swifty Swift, Ryan Condon. I watch a lot of people who ride Zwift. They always iterate, stand in the pack. Stay with the pack. And if you notice, if I'm staying with a pack, I don't stress myself out. 78 pedals, 350 watts. Normally, the whole race, I'll be pushing 500 watts. I've noticed in the last week and a half of trying to stay with a pack, my heart rate has come down in the race. Most of the time when I finish the race, I've always said that 155 is like my peak. Anything over there, I start to really burn into myself. But anything lower than that, you know, pretty good. I think I did a race the other day, I'm gonna post it eventually, where I did a volcano circuit. I think it was 5 laps. I think when I ended the race, everybody's heart, I looked at the heart rate, I had a 138 heart rate. And I watched everybody else, and I'm looking at everybody, and the power was like 2.1. I did not kill myself, and it was a loaded field. I'm not getting to the point where I'm killing myself no more on these races. I'm learning to meter out how much I can do. I did these races that morning, and about 6-7 hours later, I did a whole, it may not have been that long, but I did a whole 20-mile social ride. So I'm even, by me riding in the pack allows me to have enough energy now where I'm doing extra rides every day now. I'm doing 2 rides, ride in the morning and ride in the afternoon. And I'm enjoying this even more now, because I'm getting more and more experience at doing what I'm doing on Zwift. So as you see, we coming up around on the end of this race. We less than a mile, 9.9 of a mile left. We're riding pretty smooth. I'm not gonna try to take off as long as like I said, I'm still learning how or when to take off. You see my heart rate is 149, 150. And it starts to elevate a little bit because I don't know when to take off. And I noticed that tandem is going up and down here and there. I told myself in my head I wasn't gonna take off until we hit 2. I want to let the numbers start kicking in 1,000, but if I feel people starting to pass me with 1,000 feet left, it's hard to make that ground up. So as we're coming around this corner, I know in my head now that I'm thinking to myself, I think the rest of this race is gonna be pretty flat. And you know, maybe a hill here and there. I see tandem get up here. You know, we just trying. I look at the numbers. I see we just trying to climb the hill, and we have a whole pack of people. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just gonna stay with this pack, and we gonna ride it out. And as tandem takes off at a quarter of a mile, at half a mile, 5/10 of a mile, he kind of pushed me to take off with him. So I'm trying to catch up to him. And you see I put out 800 watts with ease, and I'm not trying to really be mean. Trying to go crazy, but we come around with a 4/10 of a mile. In my head, I don't really want to take off until we get to 2/10 of a mile. Let the 1,000 number pop up. He gets back in front of me, and we still riding. I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I'm just trying to stay with him. And then once we come over this little hill, I think to myself, 2/10 time to go. I left a little too early. Now the 1,000th number, like I said, the numbers kick in. I'm at 1,100, almost 1,200 watts the whole sprint, a 1,200 watt sprint. And I'm just trying to hold that. Now if you notice, I'm holding that 1,000 throughout I'm about 200 feet. If I had started 200 feet later, I would have been coming across the line with 1,000 watts. Thank y'all for watching this race. I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next one. Like I said, I like these ending screens. They're very good for letting you know your numbers and what's going on. I'll see y'all on the next race. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day.